This is Jerry with Jerry's Retirement Wisdom. Today we're going to cover a few fishing hacks. We're going to deal with the line on our poles. And if you stick around the end, I've got a great tip for keeping those grub tails on your spinnerbaits. Why don't you come along? Hack number 1. I need to strip this old line off of my grandson's little fishing pole. And in order to do that, I'm just going to take a toilet paper roll that I saved. I'm going to cut a little square out of it here. So I'm going to take a piece of painter's tape and I'm going to use it to tape the end of my line onto my toilet paper roll. I'm also going to use the same tape to tape to the chuck of my drill through that hole I made in the toilet paper roll. Then it's just a matter of spinning things up. And there you have it. The line's been removed from the reel and I can just dispose of the line and the toilet paper roll. Hack number 2. One of the tricks to getting your line to stay on your spool and not slip when you try to load the spool on your reel is take a piece of electrical tape and wrap that around your spool. Right down in the bottom, you don't want it up on the sides. Then when you've got your line on your new reel and you go to cinch it down, it's going to grab into that electrical tape. Then it's going to hold nicely when you go to load your reel. Hack number 3. Well, I've been using the line on this pole for quite a while, and as you can tell, it was a sort of a lime green color and now it's faded from so much use. But one thing we know also is that you don't use all the line on your reel. You're only using the several yards that are on the outside of the spool. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off some of the oldest line here, since I'm rigging this little pole up for my granddaughter. And then when I get down to the older line that it's obvious from the color hasn't even been in the water very much, I'm going to save that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie it off to my other reel here, and then I can use that fresh line without wasting it. Well, there you have it. I've got new braid that came off that other reel that's never been in the water, and it didn't cost anything. It sure beats throwing it away. Hack number 4. I'm going to put 15-pound braid on this pole, and I know that this pole already has 20-pound braid. The only problem I might have is that I need to remember which pole has which braid on it. So what I've come up with is I'm going to take a piece of electrical tape. I'm going to stick a small piece on my spool of line here. And then I'm going to take another piece. And I'm going to wrap that around the pole here. And that way I'll know in my mind when I go to use that pole which pound test braid I have on that line. And if I really need to check, I can go back to my line and see which is which. And then for this one over here, I'm going to take a different color of electrical tape, and I'm going to put that on my spool, and then I'll cut a piece of this, and I can just wrap that around my pole right here, and that way I can easily determine what pound test I've got on that pole. Hack number 5. I'm getting ready to load new line on this pole here, and what we've seen done all the time is take a pencil, have a helper hold it, and spool your line on. But really, that's not the best method. What you need to keep in mind, especially when you're loading one of these open face reels, is which way does the line go onto the reel. And as you can see, looking forward from the position of the angler, the line goes on to the reel counterclockwise. Okay? But you need to look at it from the position that you're holding the reel. So it's counterclockwise. So when we put our line on our pole, we want it to come counterclockwise off of the new spool of line as well. So we want to keep that in mind as we load our pole. Now we know we need our line to come off counterclockwise. Really all you have to do is hold your hand directly above the spool of new line and it'll come right off. And there you go. New line on your pole without the curlicues. Hack number 6. This little setup here is a Zebco 33, and it really doesn't have a good place to hook your lure when you're not fishing. And you really hate to use the eyelets themselves. And I've seen people use an O-ring and a wire tie in order to create a place to fasten your lure. But what I bought the other day at Hobby Lobby with these lanyard clips, and I've been using them for a number of different things, but one of the things we can do is we'll take a lanyard clip and we'll fasten it onto a wire tie, and we can put that wire tie on our pole here. And we'll just pull that really tight. Clip that off. And now, got a nice convenient place to hook our hook. And you don't even have to feed it through there. You can just snap it in. Good to go. Hack number 7. You've seen me in previous videos use a tiny rubber band to rig up our wacky rig. Well, another way you can do that is take about a 1/4 inch piece of heat shrink tubing, run that onto your Cinco or whatever style worm you're using. Okay, give that a little heat. Okay, and that tubing tightens down right on your worm. Okay, that's not coming off. Then all you have to do is hook it through the heat shrink tubing and you're wacky rigged up. And I can tell you that's not coming off, and you're likely to be able to catch several fish before you tear up your worm. Heat shrink tubing, easy hack. Hack number 8. When I rig my pole for catfishing, I usually use an egg sinker that's loose on the line and then a split shot to stop it from going down near the hook. That lets the hook float up off the bottom. Problem is when you're transporting your pole, that big old egg sinker is beating up your rod and everything else around it. So one of the ways you can fix that is the handy dandy duct tape. Just take a piece of duct tape, tear that off, wrap it around your sinker, and then now when the sinker hits your pole, the blow is softened by the duct tape. And duct tape was originally designed so that it's waterproof. So it's going to stay on your sinker and it's going to protect you in the days and weeks ahead. Another way to protect your sinker, if you don't like the look of duct tape, is you can buy all kinds of different colors of electrical tape. Take a piece of electrical tape, wrap it around the middle of your egg sinker or whatever kind of sinker you're using that you don't want to bang onto your pole, and it'll do the same thing as your duct tape. So it'll be your choice, but it's a nice way to protect your pole from getting banged up. Hack number 9. With any luck, we've caught that big whopper of a fish and dealt with it, and now our hands smell like fish. So in order to get rid of that slimy, fishy smell off our hands, the important thing to remember is don't use a wet towel. Don't dip your towel in the lake or river and wash your hands, because that slime will stick with you. Use a dry towel and you can get most of the slime off. Another trick is to take your empty hand sanitizer bottles, and we all these days have a lot of those around. Mix up just a little bit of vinegar with some water and put that in your squeeze bottle, and the vinegar will help take that bacteria off of your hands and they'll smell better. Hack 10. If you use spinner baits like I do, what I like to do to add a little bit more flash to my spinner bait is I like to add a grub tail. And that's easy enough done. You just put that up around there. And you'll notice the spinner bait has a keeper. And that's so when you shove your grub tail up on there, it won't come off. But even so, if you get a grab or two from a fish, they'll pull that grub either clear off or at least tear it up pretty bad. So one of the ways to keep your grub tail right up against the front of your spinner is visualize, if you will, where that keeper is on the shaft of your spinner. Then when you shove your grub tail up on there, take a toothpick and run that toothpick right along the side of the shaft and through your grub tail. Now all you do is trim off your toothpick on each side, and that little piece of toothpick is going to hold when something grabs a hold there and not let your grub tail slide back off that keeper. It's just a little bit of added protection and one of those neat little hacks that kind of helps improve your catch performance. This has been Jerry with Jerry's Retirement Wisdom. Today we've covered a few fishing hacks. If you like our videos, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you'd like to see some more videos, just click right there. We'll see you next time.